Hi, it's Trevor from Ultimatum Theme. Today we're going to take a look at making a one-page site with a smooth scrolling menu. The Parallax theme is a sample theme from Ultimatum which you can download and use. I've had a number of users ask me how it is that we make the menu up here scroll down to these various sections rather than simply jump, which is the normal HTML behavior. Similarly, in the URL bar here, normally what happens is that you get a hash on here followed by the name showing where it's jumped to. This demonstration today will include a JavaScript that stops that from appearing at the top. So let's have a look and see how this works. Let's just click on one of these. Let's click on the contact and go down to the contact section, and you will see it scroll down. The speed of the scroll you can change. So you can see there it is, it's scrolled all the way down to the contact section. And the designer of this theme has, throughout the page, added in extra back to top buttons. You can, if you wish, create a back to top button that simply floats at the bottom of the screen, but this particular designer has made these return to top buttons. So let's see how they work. And again you can see they scroll up. You can also see that as I scroll down, this menu remains visible at all times. It's sitting above the content using an opacity layer, which is something I will show you as well. Okay, so having done that, let's get and build this. First thing I did, having created the theme for myself, and this is a child theme. I'm actually using one that I created for the Parallax, so you will see that the Parallax name appears on here. But in here we're going to go and create a layout. So let's start off with here and go into layouts at the side over here on the right hand side. And you would go and create add new. In my particular case, I already called this one page menu, and it's a full page layout, and I click save. You can see it's already here over the side here, what I've already done, so I'm going to click close on this one. So let's go, and normally what would happen is this would open up and for you to edit. I've got lots of stuff in here already because it's already pre-constructed, but what would happen for you is this would be completely empty with just the yellow, blue, and towards the bottom here the green section for the footer. You don't need to do anything with this whatsoever at the moment, so I'm just going to go back to layout screen. The way I'm going to construct this website is the different sections down the page are actually going to be WordPress pages. Now the first section is actually my home page, so on pages here I have created all the pages that I need for the total one page. This one here is my actual homepage content. You'd normally in settings and reading set that one as your home page, but as I've got other things on the site, I'm just going to leave it as the an ordinary page in WordPress. Let's have a quick look, see what's in there. You can see one of the things that I do generally. By the way, I usually work in text mode. I know some people don't like this, they like to work in visual mode, but I prefer the text mode. WordPress will give you a really long name here by default. I tend to edit them like that and give it a shorter name so that it's easier for the search engines and users to be able to navigate to and from. Here's got the content. This is actually the tutorial that you're reading through, but you can put any content you want in here, including using Visual Composer or whatever it is you need to use. And over here I've selected that one page menu, so that's important. We've created that layout, so there it is, I've selected it, and that's important. That tells WordPress to go off and use this one page layout that I want to use. And that's all I really need to do there, other than saving that. So that's fairly straightforward. and you can see that I've got similar other pages. Let's just take a look at one of these. To start off with, I find it really useful just to put dummy content in, and to do so I use a website called Ipsum Lorem, which the tutorial shows you a link to. And here you can see part of the Ipsum Lorem. It's a sort of nonsense Latin, but it's quite good as filler, and everybody who sees it will recognise it immediately as just that, filler. And again, a short name in this case, because the page name is short. I've left it as it is. And you'll notice that over here on the layout selection, quite important, leave this as the default. All of these other pages have just got that filler in for the time being. It's quite a good idea to construct your page with filler like that, rather than attempting to make each of these pages specially. Go and get the overall page layout sorted first, and then go and edit the content later. Okay, so having done that, the next thing we need to do is go off and make the menu so that we can link to all of these. So on appearance and menus, you'll probably need to create a menu. I've created one called the one page menu, and it'll this is where you create the new menu from. So I've created one called one page menu. And down the side here you'll see all the different types of elements that you can drop into a menu. As this is a relatively simple installation of WordPress at the moment, there aren't many options here. Normally you would select the pages from here and they would go over to the side here, but you can see these are custom links, so they're not pages. And indeed, here's the custom link. So how you would do it is this: you are going to need the URL for your website, so that you would have to type in here. That's a cdnwebservices.net. So, and then it would go one page menu, and then my first option, so I'm putting in my home one here, so I'm showing you how to do this home one, would have #top, because that's at the top of the page, and my link menu text would say home, and you would add it to the menu. And so I've got two here that are identical at the moment, but if I just open this one up, you can see it is exactly the same. So one page demo it was called, not one page menu. So there you can see, look, one page menu, top. If you're having this as your home page, you won't have this bit in here at all. It will look instead like that. So this will be your website here, and then simply top. Navigation label there, nothing else special here, no Ultimatum mega menu, and so that's relatively straightforward. This one I don't need at the bottom here, so I'll remove that. And each of these, as you can see, I'll just go down them. There's the bit there with the about on. Notice I've shortened it, kept it small. It's about, so there's no space in it, not about us. So it's literally a short single word, about. This one here, it's called features. Well, that's okay because that's a short word. And this one here I've called team, again shorter version of our team, no spaces again, and so on down for projects and contact. And then I've saved that menu. Okay, the next thing I did was go back into my templates and into layouts, and I've created two partial layouts. I've got some others in here which I've used for other parts of my Parallax site, but the two that we're interested in today is this back to top and this one page header. What you would normally do is you'd click add new. Let's say we're going to create this one page header here, so we'll put one page header in, and this is a partial. You see it says partial there, the shortened version here, part, and you would click save there, and that would open this up for you. So when you come up to here, this will be blank. In fact, what we want to do is we want to insert a row. Now, because in this particular design I've got a logo and I've got a menu, this is 25% and 75%, so I'd have to go to insert row, and find the 25%, 75% layout and click Insert. And it will then bring up this row without these bits in. The next thing you'd need to do is to drag and drop them in like that. I'll open it up so you can see what I've put in there. I've actually typed in the logo text I want, one page, and a smooth scrolling menu demonstration. If you don't fill these in, it will pick up the detail that you've got either in the settings here or in the settings here. You've got two places where they could be set. Chances are that you might want to leave yours as default. In my case, because this is a demonstration, I've actually put these in here. I'm going to close that up. And on the Ultimatum menu here, I want something fairly straightforward. I've chosen to use the new Ultimatum menu. It's probably one of the better of the scripts that's on there. I've picked the menu here that I want, but I have not made any other changes in this. Of course, you would save that once you've done that and click Close. The other thing I want here is the actual anchor to mark the top of the page, because the header is going to be at the top of the page. So this here is the little bit of code in HTML that tells the browser where the top of the page is. So again, I would have gone to Insert Row, this time 100% row, and clicked Insert. And then when it's finished loading, I would have dragged the text into there, and it always opens up for you. And all you need in there is this: A, name equals, and then in quote marks top, and then the end of the A. Now I've put this on the tutorial so that you can go and copy this and paste it into here, so you don't have to type it from here. Just go and grab it from the tutorial. It's in there as text, so it's easy to copy and paste. And again, you would save that and close it. Let's have a look to see if I've made any other changes whilst I've been in here. Well, I have. In the wrapper here, so this is the CSS settings for the wrapper, that's the whole of the row. Let's have a look and see what I've done. Right, additional classes. I've given it a class of header hyphen or dash at dash top. That's to enable me to target CSS at it from my custom CSS. I haven't made any changes to the fonts. On the height, I've come back after it's all been constructed, because I measured it after it was all constructed and I found it was 81 pixels. So I've actually put that in there as 81 pixels. You might have a different value depending on your logo, etc. But that's what I've left it as 81 pixels. So I've actually typed that in there. No borders, and background, nothing here showing in the background either. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. You would save that. I've already done that, so I'm just going to close it. And then in this text one here, in the wrapper, the only thing I've done is set it exactly the same height as the row above, 81 pixels. So that's all I have done, and I've saved that. Okay, this button here where it says Save Layout, the only thing that saves is this name here. So if you haven't changed the name, then you don't need to click that. As you go through and click the Save buttons in these, it's automatically saving as it's going along. So there is no need for you to click Save before you exit. So I'm just going to go back to Layout screen. We'll need to insert another layout. This one will be called Back to Top. Which is that one there. And again, it's a partial layout. You would click Save. I've already done that, so I'm just going to click Close. And it would open this up for you. There would not be anything in here, so the very first thing you would need to do is Insert Row. But if you look here, can you see how the container CSS is missing? There's only a wrapper in this. And that's because when I did the Insert Row, I used a 100% full width for sliders. So it's very subtly different. And I clicked insert. And then I dragged and dropped the text box up there. And in here I've pasted some code. Now in our final page, what this is going to do is it's going to give us a link which takes us back to the top of the page there. I've given it some classes here. This pull right means that it's going to sit on the right hand side of the page. That's a bootstrap class. This back to top is just to enable me to target any CSS at it. And here you can see I've used Font Awesome to create a small icon, the FA arrow up, and FA2X means it's 2 times a normal size. You can get these codes off the Font Awesome cheat sheet if you want to figure out exactly how to put them in here, but it's relatively straightforward. Okay, so I'm just going to close that, and let's just have a look and see what else I've done in here. I don't think I've done anything spectacular, but we'll have a look. So, no additional classes. On the font styling, the link, that's my little up arrow, I've set it to orange because that's my theme colour. So I've actually gone in there, select colour, and I've actually typed in there the code for the orange colour. So that's where you would set that. And here, padding, I've set it in from left and right 50 pixels. That means that my little up arrow, which is sitting over on the right hand side of the screen, is going to sit 50 pixels in from that side. I've balanced it with 50 pixels on the other as well. You didn't need to do that, but I have. And then there's nothing else in here. So I would save that and close it. As I said, when you save it, it's automatically saved. You don't have to click this button here. So we'll go back to the layout screen. Okay, so let's go and have a look at this one-page menu. Now on yours, when we edit this, this is going to be empty. In my case, I've got lots in here. So let's have a look and see what we've got. Now, depending on how you set things up in settings here, your available list of parts and widgets is either going to be on the right over here or underneath. So you can set that in settings in there. I'll just show you where. So I'll just quickly open that so you can see that. Okay, and if you go to advanced settings and extra settings here, elements at the bottom here is what causes the elements to sit there. The slideshows, which you can see here, that's switched on with this, post galleries and short codes and so forth, so all those settings are there. Okay, so we can see we've got some available parts here. Now the ones I'm going to use are back to top and one-page header. So the first thing I want to do is put the header, the one-page header, into the header there. And all you do is you just take it up and drag and drop it. So let's just take that and drag it up the page, and it should just scroll up the page. And it will give you a red section to drop into like that. I don't want to do that because I've already done it, so I'm just going to leave it off. There's nothing else you need to do with that. Just drag and drop it into there. The next thing I need is this default loop. Now that will call this particular page, my home page content that I made earlier in Pages, and I need to do that with a default loop. And do remember, if you're using Visual Composer triggers its actions off this default loop. So if you don't have one of these on the page, even if you've got include pages down here, we're including pages that got Visual Composer on, the chances are it's not going to bring over all of the assets. So it's going to look not much like you want it to. So it's quite important to drag and drop one of these default loops into here. The next thing we need to do is insert a row, because this bit won't be here at the moment. So you just clicked insert row, and I've just clicked on 100% and clicked insert. And that's given me this here. And when you drag and drop the default loop, which is at the bottom here, so you drag that default loop there and drop it into here. Because we're bringing in pages, the multi-post layout isn't relevant. Only the single post layout is relevant. I've selected it so that it's got a full image on the top because I have set a featured image on my post. If there's no image, I tend to leave that switched off rather than showing a placeholder. It looks much nicer if it's off. And I've set here the actual dimensions of the image that I've put in. Now, when you've got lots of pages with lots of posts on, you just need to make sure that these are at least big enough for all of your featured images. I mean, the best thing to do is to make sure that your featured images are always the same size. And that looks nicer, and it's certainly very tidy. And I want it before the title, so full image on top and before the title. Don't want to replace it with a gallery or video. No comments, no taxonomy, no meta, no post navigation. Don't need any of that. Now, if you have created Wonder Loops and you've got Wonder Loops installed, if you've created a Wonder Loop for your layout, you will find an extra loop in here which you can pick, and then all the rest of the settings are ignored. You'll also see that I have the title on here. You may choose not to have the title on, that's up to you. So I'm just going to close that up. Okay, the next thing I've done is to drag from the bottom the back to top and drop that underneath there. That gives me an arrow on the right hand side of the page to take my page, scroll it back up to the top of the page. These next sections, you'll see, they're in pairs. I hope you can see this. It goes a row with a text Ultimatum include page followed by back to top, another row with a text Ultimatum include page and then a back to top, and again and again and again, going down for all the pages I've created, so they're all the same layout. So let's just have a look at the first one I put in. So again, I went to, for this row here, I went to Insert Row, clicked on 100%, clicked Insert. Then I dropped a text widget in first, and in this I've got this content. Again, this is on the tutorial web page, so you can go and grab this as text and paste it in yourself rather than having to type it. A name about. So that's giving me a named anchor on the page, a jump to point as it might be called, for the about content. And then I've actually put a H2 title in here. I've called them one page title for class so I can target it for any CSS changes I want to do. And there's my actual page name, About Us, and you can see it's inside a H2. That's a heading 2. This bit here you won't be able to see on the page. It'll be hidden in the HTML code, but it's a little tag that lets the HTML, your browser, jump to that point. I'm going to close that. And then here's the include page. So again, that's from the bottom here. The Ultimatum include page is here. So we drag that up. And you select the page. In this case it's About Us, and I've switched the page title off because I put a page title in there. Now the difference between them is that this page title you've got no control over what heading type it uses, other than in settings in here. There's some tag settings in there, but mine is generally set to have widgets, which is what this is, set to a H3 title, and I'd rather have a H2 title for this particular content, so that's why I put it in here as a H2. And everything else you can see is off, and obviously you would save that and close it. Just quickly look at then you would drag another back to top in here. It's identical to that, and you can see why you use partial layouts now, because it saves you having to keep typing in the same thing over and over again. You can just drag and drop it. Also, you've no need to create a row for them. It automatically creates a row to put partials in, so that's that makes things a lot simpler for you. So let's have a look at this one here. Look, this one's features, and in the include page it's features. And then if we go down a little bit more, this one is team, our team, and here is our team. So it's fairly straightforward. And remember, as you make these changes, you would have to click the save button But as soon as you hit that save button, it is saved. There's no need to save it at the top of the page here. You don't need to click that. Okay, the next thing is to add the actual code that makes this work. Now, I use a plugin here called WP Editor. So let's just have a look at our plugins page. So you can see here is WP Editor. I've imported it using the add new button to bring that WP Editor in. And if I just look at the settings so that you can see what they look like, on the post editor I've switched it off and then clicked save, so that I retain the standard WordPress editor. But for all the other editing, this plugin is now taken over. And so in appearance here, instead of it saying editor, it now says theme editor. So I'm going to click onto that. And you will see over the right hand side of here, for me, I've got a file here called smoothscroll.js. Now, I've made that file available to you on the tutorial. It's actually on GitHub, so you can download it as a file. And you download it as a file to your own computer and then simply click Browse and go and find the file and upload it and drop it into here. So there's nothing spectacular to do, so this is a simple upload the file into here. Let's click on it to have a look at it, and it's got this in here. There's not a lot you need to do with this, but one of the things you'll see is this number, which I think on the one that's downloaded, it's got 1000 on it. I'll just change that to 1000 and you can just update the file. That number determines how fast the page scrolls. 1000 is what the Ultimatum theme, demonstration theme, is set to. If you make it 2000, it goes a lot slower. If you make it 500, it goes a lot faster. So I repeat that the faster and slower information on the tutorial, but that's the number you need to change there to alter the speed of it. The rest of this is just the clever bit of programming that gets the thing to work for you. Okay, in order for you to get this to work, you're going to have to tell WordPress that you want this file included on your page. There are many ways of doing that. You can do it within the settings of Ultimatum, but my preference is, if you look over the side here for your child theme files, you're going to find one here called functions.php, and that's on every child theme, so it's always there. So let's just click on that. Now the default one from Ultimatum has these 4 lines of code in here. The first line here simply tells the server that's providing your web page that this is a PHP file. You'll notice there's no end PHP tag here. In fact, the use of end tags has been discouraged for quite some time now with programming, so generally speaking they're not a good idea to leave there unless you're told to put them in place. So if you do have a problem with something, then it may well be that you've done that. These 3 lines here are simply comments, and they're put there by Ultimatum Framework, and it's just a comment to say it's a simple child theme. And your functions file will have nothing more in. It won't have any of this. None of this will be there. This code is all on its own new lines, and this loads up for me the assets that I require. You'll find that these are slightly different in the tutorial because I've made them more generic in name, and I've put a few comments in to tell you what they do. But the first 2 lines here, those 2 lines, that loads the style sheet, which I've got over here, and the second 2 lines here, that loads this smooth scroll file, and that's all they do. So there's nothing particularly clever, you just need all of those lines. Now again, to help you with that, I've actually put that file up onto GitHub, and it's linked and showing inside the post, so that makes things a lot easier for you. You don't have to do any typing, just put the content in, and obviously you need to save it. In order to make mine look a little nicer and work a little nicer, the other thing I've got is this demonstration CSS file here. Now mine's slightly bigger than yours will need to be because I put some extra CSS in there for other parts of my site. But you're going to see this code here. This is the code that fixes the menu at the top of the page. And that little bit there, 0.9, that is what makes it opaque. The lower that number is, the more opaque it is. So 0.1 would be almost completely transparent. And the 255, 255, 255 is the hex code, or the number code for white. So in this case that's white, and it's very opaque, so there's very little shows through. Zed Index means that it sits on top of your content, and I've given it an index of 9,999 to lift it really high so it's over the top of everything else. If you find it disappearing over anything else, just make it even bigger by maybe putting an extra 9 in, so that'll try to lift it above. The left and right here mean that it gives it full width. Put it fully to the left and fully to the right so the row stretches. You don't have to do that for normal rows in Ultimatum, but once you've used this position here, either fixed or absolute or something like that, you'll find the row isn't wide enough to fit the whole page. So this little code here, left and right, makes it 100% width. You can see here that one-page title. I've changed the colour to orange, that's what that code is there. I've made it bold, which is what 700 means, and I've given it a bit of margin underneath with 21 pixels. And there's some other things I've done here to do with GIST to make it look a bit prettier on the page. That's the GitHub code. So again, I've made this file available on GitHub for you, so you can simply download it and upload it, and it has the same name as is referred to in the copy of the functions file. So again, you've got nothing to do, just download the file from GitHub and use this to upload it, and the functions file will find it automatically. So that makes it really easy for you. So let's have a look and see what this page actually looks like. So I've got all pages here. This is the page. Let's click on view. And here it is. Here's my logo, one page, and I actually styled this using the Ultimatum CSS styling panels, which if you look on layout settings here, there and here, look. So edit CSS and layout specific CSS. I've styled it all inside here. Let's have a quick look and see what I did. So you can see nothing here looks changed as I'm scrolling down. Keep scrolling down, and logo here, which is that logo we were looking at. I've given it a margin top and a margin bottom of 10 pixels. I've selected the color and the color of my tagline, and over here the font size of my logo and the line height and the font size and line height of my tagline. So that's what's given me these here. And then similarly, the menu I've used is the Ultimatum menu here. And you can see I've given it a top margin of 25 pixels, and I've made it 25 pixels high. I've made no padding between the items. I've put my top level links as 14 pixels font size, font color there. And then the active and hover, they go to grey. So I've selected that color there. So it gives you an idea. You can change these, and this is all in this layout specific CSS here. I haven't put any custom CSS in here because I've done it inside my theme editor using a separate file, which I find is much tidier. It enables you to go and edit it using FTP, which is quite handy. So let's have a look. We've got my menu across here. Let's just scroll down and make sure the scroll works with this locked in place. Yes, that works absolutely fine. We can see that. And you'll see that as we go down the page, here indeed are the back to top links. Let's just try one. Brilliant. Scrolls up quite nicely. Notice it didn't gain the hash top at the top here, which is what would normally happen on a web page. So if you've been on other people's web pages, #top will appear there. Similarly, that works great, up and down. Now this will actually be the tutorial you're looking at here. And so as I said here, look, you can go and grab bits from GitHub. So it's up to you how you wish to go about doing this, but I'll just show you, for example, one of the files. So there's the smooth scroll one. You do not have to copy this and paste it and make a file, etc. All you need to do is just click on this. I'm going to do it so it creates a new tab, which is on my PC. It's using the middle scroll wheel on my mouse. If I click with it, it will create a new tab there, and you can see there it is. There's me, look. So there's a smooth scroll code. Right, so you should be able to just download this here, and it'll download it as a zip file, which you've then got to uncompress before you can use it. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. So that's how you get hold of the file, by just downloading the zip and then unzipping it on your computer. You'll see if you just click on Cotswold Photo here, here's all the other ones, so you can see them all just listed here. Straightforward. There might be others there as well, but they're all relatively easy to get hold of. You do have to click on them and then download them, but I've made this as easy as I can for you so that it's easy to set up. Okay, so back to this thing here. That should, I hope, get you up and running with a one-page site. So I hope this has been quite useful for you. Thanks for watching.